Hey guys, welcome back to the Golden Lions lair. I'm gonna remember that. I've got a feeling I'm gonna say the Golden Lions den again sometimes. Let's see if I remember the layer. Anyway, it's hot as hell. Today's training session, yes, as I sweat a lot. Holy shit. But the winter is almost coming. I do prefer the little bit of cold. This heat sometimes is insane, and it's difficult to manage your appetite and sometimes manage your food in this heat. So that's an obstacle you learn to overcome. Sometimes athletes would say, "Oh, I can't get all the food in," or it makes me sluggish or tired, and this and it's. The heat also has an impact on our moods, on our appetites, just always keep that in mind. Onto the topic, talking about that, I want to jump onto the topic of not giving up. So the reason I'm thinking about that is that if you are feeling dismayed, or if you're feeling demotivated, or if you are feeling like you're maybe just in a bad mood, right? I want you to remember that whatever is bothering you, whatever is in your way, doesn't give a shit about your mood. It doesn't care. It's not going to back off because you don't like it. It's not going to get back because it's making you uncomfortable. Most of the time it's going to be in your face until you get it fucking done and over with. And procrastinating sometimes, or putting things off, or not following the plan and just completely letting go, maybe it feels good while you're using the type of distractions to kind of keep you off course. But at the end of the day, your problem is not going to go away. You need to deal with it, and I always say I'm someone that goes head on into something, but that's my instinct, but it's not always what I do. Over the years, you learn what your strengths and your weaknesses are, and you try to adapt. Me, I always kind of go head first, and I've learned over the years to relax a little, think a thing through, but every now and again I still act impulsively. But at the end of the day, you still need to check yourself while you're doing it. So while you're doing your distractions, don't convince yourself it's okay, or don't convince you, because that's what we do, right? It's the moment that you want to let yourself go, it's you that has to accept the excuse or the reason for that. Okay, so that's the thing I want to say, is to not give up, because your problems or the thing that you need to do, that ain't gonna give up. It'll still be there tomorrow. It's gonna be there in a week. It's gonna be there in a month, and you're still gonna have that feeling that you haven't climbed that wall. You haven't conquered that mountain. And at the end of the day, it's only a mountain because you've been putting it off. I tell you, if you literally don't listen to your bullshit and just talk to your body, literally putting one foot in front of the other, thinking about the task, completing it, be that a meal, be that a workout, be that a cardio session, be that a rest fucking day. Just put yourself through the paces and do it. There's no need to use your brain to complicate it, because that's what people love to do. And then they come to me, and then I uncomplicate it. So I just boil it down to its most basic form, and then we see what the problem is. Once we can boil it down, we see the problem. All the other bullshit fades away. But you first have to not give up. You first have to see that there's something. And then, it might sound, maybe it might sound a little, I don't want to use the word dark, but saying that your problem is not going to go away. It's going to lie in wait for you outside of your door, inside your kitchen, inside wherever you are. It's going to always be there in the back of your mind, because you're committed to yourself. And just don't give up on yourself. Okay? So this is something I talk about because it's something that you feel like you've conquered that beast, and then something comes along your way, kind of hits you off, and then you're like, oh fuck, this is a big problem, bigger than the last one, or what fucking ever excuse we sometimes create, right? So do less of that. Do more of getting rid of that shit. Okay, so I showed you a couple of trap variations, essentially like where, so now I'm just going to kind of put it together for you. So we talked about kind of the one that I like, which is more the classic, where you're kind of doing this, pulling up, one, and then down, one, and then down, like that. You see? So if you do like the classic ones, kind of do this till fatigue. You can warm up 1 or 2 sets, then you do these classic ones with a little bit of a heavier weight for another 3 sets. So then we're up to about 5 sets, right? And then you can start adding variations. So now we do the fourth, let's say fourth working set. And now we start breaking it down into, you can either do rest pause, in other words, this, and then you do the same, you do as much as you can, let's say, not as much as you can, go for 8 to 12. You put the weight down, you rest for 3 seconds, you pick the weight up again, and then you do another 8 reps. Okay, so it's kind of a rest pause set. You can also do the variation. So do the classic, you go for your, say, 8 to 12 with a heavy enough weight, then you can drop it by about 50%. If you like, or you can take the same weight, it really depends on you. But again, form is important, right? And then you bring the weight to the front, and you can kind of pull it a little bit more backwards, you see. So it's a little bit of a different angle that you get with the kind of that classic shrug, where this, it's got in the front, as I said, you can do this with a barbell, or you can do it with dumbbells. You just need to control your wrist. And then of course the last one I showed you guys quickly last night was behind the back, and you kind of lift that up, and that again you can also do with a barbell or with the dumbbells. Okay, so that's a variation you can do then, that your 4th and 5th and 6th working sets. And if you think about it, if you do, and you started doing sets 4, 5, and 6, you started doing rest pause sets or drop sets or these kinds of compound sets, you know, in other words, 2 sets in one, kind of doing to 12 and then going for 8, then you've essentially done, what's that, 3, let's say 2 warm-up sets, 1, let's say 1 like a normal working set just to get used to the weight, and then 4, 5, and 6 was another 6 sets, or 6 in 3, right? So they already done like 9 different sets just for traps. So that's what I'm saying, like, you wouldn't need to do much more than this. Once you've done back and you want to put in traps right at the end, that's a good idea. If you've done shoulders, you want to put in something like this right at the end, that's also a good idea. Okay guys, have a great night, and it's almost the weekend. I'm excited for tomorrow's video. Cheers.